So, via social media, I was introduced to this man, Ron Finley, who is actually a pioneer in inner city gardening, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it and introduce you to him if you haven't heard of him. Let's discuss. So, Ron Finley is this guy from South Central LA, which is, I guess, ironically being changed to South LA for all the gang violence, and they're trying to gentrify it, and the city's working on stuff that way. I think that's what's so funny about Ron Finley's story and how he tackles problems versus talking problems. And I like this man's approach at dealing with issues that are affecting all of us, all our families across the country. And he wanted to combat these food deserts that are happening throughout big cities that we're all living in, basically through poor or dominantly black neighborhoods. All of these fast food chains are popping up, grocery stores and local markets are shutting down, and it's really taking away the ability to get fresh, especially produce, at convenience, and it basically forces these communities to live on these diets of preservatives and fast food and processed meats and all of this disgusting stuff where you can't, think properly. Your body can't even use this stuff. It's not nutritious at all. And it's becoming an epidemic across the country, and people like Ron Finley are taking a stand against it. I mean, he's watching his neighborhood deteriorate, and he made really good points about how the drive-thrus are killing more people than the drive-bys. Basically, what had happened was he was told that the boulevard in your front lawn, that piece of property just past the sidewalk, it's usually just like 5 feet wide by however long your property line is. So it's kind of a lot of space. You have to maintain it, but the city owns it, right? So he said, well, if I have to maintain it, I'm going to maintain it the way I want. So he created a garden out of it, which, you think about so easy. Why don't more people do it? Well, this is why. He was then arrested, and after the arrest, he contested it, and later all charges were dropped, and he speaks on how the city of LA loves him now because they don't want him to speak ill of them because he has a following garnering this attention towards this, law that he basically got changed. And because he is impacting law and legislation, he's reaching people that he had no idea he would influence. And so his life is kind of going through a whirlwind. And he's the kind of person that we want as the people speaking in part for us. Like, he's a really sound, level-headed man who's thinking about, the betterment of our future. Like, he wants to take care of us and make sure, like, he's speaking on how easy it is to provide produce for the community. I mean, we could plant these community gardens or have fruit trees growing along boulevards or in the medians in roads, and it leads to all of these amazing ideas. You could then have the homeless tending the gardens and maybe making revenue off of selling the produce, and he makes everything free. And his pay it forward mentality really has me thinking about things that I can do here in my local community. Like, my boyfriend and I always talk about how we want to create a program that basically gets funding from local businesses or community supporters that buys little kits of basically a sleeping bag or an umbrella, socks, like basic things that a homeless person would need, and then you go around and give them to individual homeless people or take them to a shelter. Or I'm finding out by speaking to more people in the homeless community that shelters aren't exactly all they're cracked up to be, and we really should, as a community, be looking into them and scrutinizing them. But there are things here in Portland set up, like, God, I forget the name. It's something like Second Chance, or I forget it, I'll look it up. But it's this community of people that got together and said they're going to basically band together with the homeless and help them make sure they have shelter and food as much as they can. And you can donate to places like that, and then they have a community of homeless people who live there on site, but also homeless people who stop in who need things, whether it's feminine hygiene products or food, or, we don't think of this stuff, but on the daily, I mean, brothers and sisters of ours on the streets are dying every day over basic necessity, and it's sad, and we need to do more, and stuff like this brings attention to that, and I think that's really cool. I think people like Ron Finley are just doing God's work for real. Like, he's just being such a kind human being, offering this food for free. Like, he has, stories where he's come out and homeless people are, coming to his property late at night to steal the fruit or the vegetables, and he comes out and he's like, you don't have to steal it, you can have it, it's for you, that's why it's on the street. I want to help keep my community healthy. Like, this man is just a genius, and I'll attach his TED Talk video below in the information. I think it's really important. I myself don't always love those TED Talks. They have promoted some people with views I don't align myself with, and they've also censored people that I think are speaking out on brave issues. I know Sarah Silverman was censored when she did her TED Talks, and I don't exactly agree with that. However, Ron Finley's TED Talk was incredible, and I do want to provide that to people. I think just hearing this information, I mean, honestly, what if we in our community started just neighborhood by neighborhood planting produce in our boulevards? I mean, we could have gardens that span miles in cities, in small cities, large cities, and the homeless population could live off of it. I mean, if we took hunger and shelter, if we took those two problems away from the homeless and all they had to focus on was creating a revenue and basically showing their worth to the community, which I hate that that's a thing that we prove monetarily, like they have to get a job in order to prove that they're worthy of living here. But if we can start to provide food and then shelter, like better shelter, or if you think about it, quick little pop-up homes, like these tiny homes that are just 4x8s, where it's just enough shelter to get a twin mattress in. Just ideas, man. We should be creating and generating ideas on how to take care of each other. We shouldn't be trying to push the homeless out of our communities. And no, that's not what this video is on today, but it is about community. And this man, Ron Finley, is standing up for community. And I do feel like there's so much we can do to help each other that wouldn't cost us a dime, just thinking of things like planting seeds in your front yard, for God's sakes. Like, if everybody had an apple tree or, a banana plant or kale. I mean, I know everybody rags on kale for being the hipster vegetable, but he talked about how if kids grow kale, kids eat kale. Like, if you get kids gardening, they want to garden, and then they enjoy eating the food that they know where it came from. And then that eliminates the Monsanto problem. I mean, we don't have to keep worrying about the detriment of the soil. We can take care of our land, and we just need to be more involved. And I know this sounds super hippie, but make it a part of your life. Like Ron Finley says, make gardening gangsta. Like, whatever you need to do to splash a little color on it, who gives a fuck? It's your food. Ain't nothing more important than your food but your air, which he also talks about how we're just killing because we don't sit and think about this stuff. Our air, our water, and our food, the three most important things, and our sex. He talks about how sex is just, we're losing the pleasurability in sex because we are so stressed and we're living in fear all the time over the clean air, water, and food that we just don't have anymore. We're ruining it, and Monsanto is ruining it. Speak up against that. Hold the FDA accountable because they haven't been for some time. Start letting this message resonate with your body and your mind because it's real. It's real, and the food that you eat is poison, and that's something we shouldn't stand for. Our kids in the school system shouldn't be allowed to eat the food they eat. Did you know it's grade D? It's prison grade food. We're raising children on malnourished food products. Like, considering pizza a vegetable, that's disgusting. The fact that when Michelle Obama announced that the White House garden was organic, and then she got flagged with emails and letters inundating her saying that she needs to promote the use of chemicals and Monsanto-backed products on her garden and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. It didn't gain a lot of media coverage because that's something lobbyists work against. They keep that stuff away from you. You need to know what's in your food. You need to know what you're eating. Same with water, same with air, but that's another video. I'm just saying, let's pay attention to our food. And then one way we can do it, bring it back to our neighborhoods. Start growing it. Start making it yourself. Start caring about something like that. It is cool to do. You don't have to think it's not cool because you're so busy trying to chase the dollar. Like, for real, you need to eat good food. You are what you eat, and that's so much deeper than people understand. Like, it really does mean something. Did you know that every 10 years, all the cells in your body are different? Therefore, you are an entirely different human being. Did you know that you're more closely related to a stranger you ride on a bus or a train with than you are to your own damn self a decade ago? That person is entirely different than who you are now. You're more closely related to the people you surround yourself with today. How nutso bananas is that idea to you? Like, look into it. That's real. Like, look it up. Don't trust me. Just look into it. It's crazy. We need to start paying attention to what is reality. What are we doing to ourselves? Who are we getting our information from? Because once we start to realize the source and the meaning behind the source, what their message really is, the more you start to realize they don't have your best interest at heart. So start paying attention to that message and take care of yourself. Start growing your own food. Look into this Ron Finley guy. I'll attach his TED Talk below. He's really fascinating and he keeps it interesting. He'll keep you fascinated. So take care of yourself today. Look out for your future and peace out.